I would love you so much more if you would just do
Sure
that.
you would.
And don't you want me to love you more?
Sure
So
you
why
would.
can't you just do this for me? Yes. Every couple, I don't care how long you've been married, will face struggles with sexual intimacy at one point or another. It'd be very unusual if it didn't happen. It's going to happen. In an elegant way, I believe sexual problems in a marriage are built into the work of marriage because marriages are designed to help us grow up. And if you didn't have challenges, you wouldn't face opportunities to really grow. Now, not saying these challenges are pleasant or that we go rushing to problems because we want them. You don't have to. They'll come to you. You don't have to go seeking them out. In this special podcast episode with Dr. Corey Allan, a good friend of mine, we're going to go through vignettes of fictional couples and problems that they have, and we'll dissect them. We'll talk about how they are all designed to help us really grow up. My hope is by listening to this podcast episode, you'll get a different perspective over marital problems, regular, everyday marriage problems, and see them in a new light. The new perspective is, how does this challenge invite me to grow up who I am? How does this challenge invite me to see things in a different way? How does this challenge invite me to live with more courage in my life? Dr. Corey Allan, so good to have you back on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good, man. It's been far too long. So
It
it's
has
good to
been
be
a
back.
while. I was just curious, have you ever felt like a complete celebrity sometime? Maybe someone came up to you unexpected and recognized you in an unusual place?
Yeah, I've had, well, one, I don't know if it's really unusual, but I was at a training with a whole bunch of other therapists, and I'm on the elevator the very first day, and there's four of us, and one guy looks over and goes, "Corey from Dallas?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "So Dr. Corey?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Sexy Marriage Radio?" "Yeah." "I'm a listener." I'm like, "What?" So it's just one of those weird things. And then when he gets off the elevator at the floor or two before I had to, the two other ladies that were on there look at me and go, "Does that happen often?" I'm like, "No, that's the first time. That was actually pretty cool."
That's so cool. It's cool, like, I don't know, to be recognized for
Hmm.
your work. That's really good. And today, I want to do a deep dive with you, with your brilliant therapist mind, I have 2 or 3 vignettes
Okay.
from inspired by just conversations I hear in marriage, just here and there. These are all fictional, but I think the themes are very, very common and
Sure.
relatable. So I want to go through these with you and let's just discuss them. Now, one common thread among them all is they involve a husband and a wife. And in the case of each of these three, the husband is a higher desire spouse.
Okay.
That's the way we kind of look at it here, right? One has usually higher desire than the other. And so this is usually from the higher desire spouse's perspective writing these things. But let's go through these, shall we?
Let's go.
Okay. The first one is this. A husband wants his wife. This wife, by the way, prefers to dress modestly most of the time. They have a trip coming up to Mexico, and he wants his wife to wear a bikini for their beach days in Mexico. She's never bought a bikini before. She's never been interested in it, but husband really, really wants her to do it. And she doesn't want to. She resists it. And then he fires back and says, "You're just a product of this conservative church upbringing. And I wish you were more free with yourself," and so on. Anyway, she responds that wearing a bikini to her doesn't feel free because it wouldn't mean she's like doing it for herself. She's just doing it for her husband and she'd be uncomfortable for his sake. Anyway, they're gridlocked on this issue.
Hmm.
What would you say to this couple if they were in your office?
So the first place I would start is what's the meanings each of them have, which we're kind of getting glimpses of, because he's got some sort of a meaning attached to this wife that has a willingness to share and more skin, be more
Uh-huh.
provocative,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is that he sees it as. He's got some sort of attachment, because this is one of the universal things, Dan. I mean, you know this in the conversations we've had in the past, is that we don't fight about things, we fight about the meanings of things,
Yes.
because therein
Yeah.
lies our ability to start to learn to evolve and be more flexible. And so obviously he's got something attached to, I want this goddess walking around flaunting herself in some
Uh-huh.
ways because it
Uh-huh.
means something to him. And
Uh-huh.
then she's got some sort of, I can't do this, it's wrong, there's a cultural something, there's an insecurity something, because I don't know. We can't, it's going to be very easy to jump to a conclusion, which could be
Right.
wrong. My hypothesis could be completely wrong. And so in the therapist chair, I try to hold hypotheses very, very lightly. Whereas in a podcast chair, I kind of make an assumption. And
Right.
so,
Because all we have is that paragraph of vignette.
right.
Right.
And so we
Uh-huh.
we kind of go, what would be the most logical in some ways when I don't have them right in front of me to give me the data that really
Okay.
starts to explain it. Because if you boil it down, they're fighting about a mixed meaning here.
Mm-hmm.
And how do they come to some understanding or awareness of where each of them are? And then the challenge to apply that to who the person that they're married to actually is. Right. I think universally, in some ways, we can start talking about this. Is where I've been going lately in my thought processes is I think we're called to love our spouse as they are, not who we
Yeah.
wish they were.
Uh-huh.
And what he's being challenged with is how does he come to grips with who she is, whether he
Mm-hmm.
likes that, all of it or not? That's what he's challenged to have to face. And so
Right.
then we start getting in these power dynamics and power struggles of, she's even worded it as such of, yeah, but if I did that, it's not for me, it's only for you. And so she's got to come to grips with, is that a bad thing or an okay thing? Because sometimes where we grow the most is because of the impetus and pressure coming from our spouse.
Right. Right. How often do you see where it really is spouse A to spouse B, and where they're like, "Hey, I really want you to change in this area so I can love you better." That's kind of what they're thinking in their mind at the time. Like, "I would love you better if you'd wear a bikini to our trip."
Right, like
Therefore,
there's an attachment to it, like that draws me more to you if you act in a certain way, carry yourself in a certain way.
"I would love you so much more if you would just do
Sure
that.
you would.
And don't you want me to love you more?
Sure
So
you
why
would.
can't you just do this for me?" Yes. Uh-huh.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. I mean, that's one side of this coin that I think draws us man, if we're honest with ourselves, it's flat out manipulative.
It is, isn't it?
Because what if they actually started doing it? Would that elicit more love, quote unquote? No, it would actually
Uh-huh.
just maybe bring about a little more comfort and ease rather than the challenge of this is who I'm actually with.
Ah, yes,
Right.
okay.
And we all
Uh-huh,
want comfort and ease at various stages, if not big stages of our life, where I want this just to be easy. The other side of the coin is I want you to want this like I do.
uh-huh,
Right? I want you to want it. And it's
right.
like I
Uh-huh,
want you to want to do these things with me. It's like I don't want to do these things with you, but I'll do them. I mean, because there's that
uh-huh,
that side of the equation too, where she's being challenged in some ways to I could wear this, and it's not for my benefit; it's for yours. But sometimes we can grow to a point. It's like I'm okay with that, right? I'm
uh-huh,
not going to hold it responsible. I'm not going to feel like that pressure is something where I don't have a voice. I'm not placating you. I can actually own it. That's go a different route on, I've been challenged to up my standards of adventure eating, if you will, because of who I'm married to.
okay. 'Cause
Of
she's an adventure
Oh,
eater?
totally. I mean,
Uh-huh,
my wife, when you talk about some of the variety of things like adventure and food, I mean, she enjoys those things to her toes,
uh-huh,
right? I mean,
uh-huh,
it's a full body experience, and to me, it's a means to an end when it comes to food.
uh-huh,
It's like, just give me something with sustenance. That's all I
uh-huh,
need. I don't have a wide palate, but I realize the challenge that she provides me is actually good for me.
mhm,
Whereas possibly
right,
this wife, maybe the challenge is good for her. Not that she has to come to grips with it and own it and start living that way. Because
uh-huh,
sometimes the challenge she's going to present back to him of, I don't want to be this.
right,
That's not how I
right, right,
carry myself.
mhm,
Then he's got to come to grips with that's who I'm with. That's the challenge of okay, how do I see that? Is that can still be equally vibrant. It's just not the way I quantify it.
yeah, 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 good. And I know we're talking on the husband side of the equation here, and it's gonna sound like we're really attacking him today, but we're gonna attack him a little bit more, okay?
Okay.
Let's say, he's with his buddies, and he's complaining about the situation, and the conversation turns around to they hypothesize, oh, the reason why it is because it's the conservative church upbringing, and then they kind of go down that rabbit hole for a while. It seems like an easy place to go, easy
Hmm.
place to attack. If only she, you know, her background was different or her upbringing wasn't so strict or whatever it is, then you'd have what you have, man. Kind of conversation. That's a very
Sure.
easy place people go. Instead of the buddies saying, "Can't you just love her for the way she is?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's
Well, but it's also so unrealistic because you're discounting everybody's upbringing that has created who they actually are, and thinking if I could go and tweak that, it would make it my whole dilemma so much easier. No, it would just make your dilemma different. It's all it
You're right.
is.
Uh-huh.
Because
It's the fantasy. Yeah.
we're not
Uh-huh.
solving these things. I
Mhm.
mean, loving other people is a task. It's
Yeah.
it's not easy all the time. And
And I guess
that's okay.
it's a fantasy to think, if only my spouse was different,
Right.
it'd be easier to love them.
Right.
But that wouldn't be real love if it didn't take effort
Well,
to
because
love
I
someone.
think of it as since we're talking about the higher desire husbands most of the time
Yeah, yeah.
in this
Uh-huh.
episode. I've said this a couple times and get some pushback, but more and more I'm actually getting some confirming of it. That I've got times where early on in the Sexy Marriage Radio episodes bank way back then, I would make comments about, okay, if a higher desire husband actually had a wife that woke up sexually and just totally owned her sexual prowess and like
Uh-huh.
really was this being that
Uh-huh.
just enjoyed and sought it and everything, it would freak him out
Okay. Uh-huh.
because trying to actually satisfy a woman's prowess when it comes to her sexual wiring
Uh-huh.
is a
Is threatening to a lot of men.
it's a
Uh-huh.
daunting thing to say the least,
Mhm.
because she can go and go and go and go and go because she doesn't have a refractory period.
Uh-huh.
He
Uh-huh.
does. And so a lot of times what we as men face as a fear most is, can I come through? Can I deliver? Can I satisfy? That's kind of in our DNA, not just sexually,
Mhm.
just everything. Like
Right. Can I provide?
if I'm going to
Yes.
accomplish this task, can I get it all the way through, right? Well, it's like, how am I going to do that with a woman that's totally insatiable, right? And so,
Uh-huh.
not that he can't adjust to that, but initially it's going to be like, whoa, hold on, like, because that's what when we get what we actually are after in life, a lot of times it can really freak us out initially, and it's
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
I gotta recalibrate a little bit, and that's kind of what's going on where you're framing it in the sense that's really good of, if they would, then it would be
Mhm.
easier for me. And she's
Yes.
saying the same thing. If he would, it'd be
It would be
easier
easier
for
for me.
me. The pressure would go away. I said, no, it wouldn't. It would just be different.
Right, right. So, before we move on to the next vignette, maybe a very mature approach could be, what is being asked of me, and where am I being called to love a little more?
Mhm. And from what's being asked of me, what actually might be good for me to at least come to a
Yeah.
better understanding, rather than, because anytime we have some real quick no's in life, it's
Uh-huh.
usually worth our time to have a little courage and ask some questions about, okay, where did the knee jerk no come from? What's that
Yeah.
about? So then she can
Mhm.
really own it, and she could look him in the eye and say, I know you would love for me to show this off. I'm not going to. That's a different kind of a statement rather than, that just really makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
makes
Because
sense.
it's a different thing to be able to say, "Hey, you are the only one that gets to see
Uh-huh.
all of this. I am not flaunting it for everybody else," because they just couldn't handle it. I mean, that's a different kind of a woman
That would.
response, right?
That'd be very thoughtful, yeah,
That's
that'd
kind
be
of
good.
owning her, and say, as well as saying, "I'm not gonna play the whole route you really want me to, but that's gonna be okay for me."
Coming back to your food with your wife analogy, I can just imagine a scenario where she was like, "Here, have this, I don't know, haggis," some food that you probably don't matches her palate very well, and immediately is a no, but
Mhm.
then you're like, "Well, I can have a bite,"
Mhm. Well,
or
yeah,
whatever.
if
Yeah.
I'm operating at a better state, I have a
Uh-huh.
chance where I'll really examine myself. If I'm not really
Mhm.
operating real well, it'll just be a dig my heels in no, because it's not like I got this thing figured out either, so.
Got it. Good. So examine ourselves. That's what I'm taking
Mhm.
away from this conversation. That's so powerful. Can I just examine myself a little bit here instead of just knee-jerk reaction
Yeah.
immediately
What's
in
being
every scenario?
exposed and what could I do about it differently rather than
Yeah.
how dare they do this to me?
Oh, I love it. That's such a better response than fighting about it and staying
Mhm.
gridlocked and then having bad feelings all over again about it. We've sold out of our Get Your Marriage On in-person retreat for April. If you'd still like to apply and be on the waiting list, you're welcome to do that and get on the waiting list for our next couples retreat that we have planned for 2027. But I am excited to announce that we're putting on a Get Your Marriage On cruise sailing in October 2026. And now's the time to sign up because we're only taking a small number of couples. So you're going to come with us. We're going to vacation together. We're going to have a great week together as we explore the beautiful Caribbean Ocean and do a deep dive on intimacy in marriages too. So it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for you and your spouse to come. All those details are on our website, getyourmarriageon.com. Click events and you'll find all the cruise details there. Good. All right, ready for the next one?
Let's go.
Okay, this scenario is a couple where the husband, from my opinion, has 1 foot in and 1 foot out in his marriage. He's there, but he's not fully committed, it seems like. Okay, this is what he says. A husband says his sex life is ho-hum and wishes for more excitement. He wants more adventure, more novelty, and things like that. Whenever he confronts his wife about wanting more sexual excitement in their marriage, she withdraws and shuts down. Now that they're in midlife, the wife wants to invest in hobbies and do more self-improvement projects on herself. Now that her kids are grown, they have a little bit more money, but these cost money. The husband, by the way, is the sole breadwinner, and he thinks, I don't want to support my wife with all of her expensive hobbies and things, especially if she's not going to be invested sexually with me. So they kind of like go, why would I do this for you to help you with your hobbies and invest in you when you don't really invest sexually with me? So that's kind of their conflict point there. Anyway, the conversation goes on, and the wife eventually says, well, what's the minimum amount of sex you need from me in order for you to be happier with me so that you'll finance my hobbies or whatever, and it just goes downhill from there.
Yes, that would go downhill from there. Anytime you start using a lot of this commodity-based conversation exchange rate concepts with actual tangible things, man, in marriage it gets really dicey to say the least.
Yeah. Maybe that's an extreme example, but
No, it's what that is it's actually a more overt example of what a lot of marriages do covertly.
yes, they may not say it out loud,
Yes.
but there's a little bit of this, why would I invest in
Because
you
if
when I
you
don't
can
feel like you
actually, I
invested
mean,
in me?
actually, if you could honestly articulate that after you have to pick up the pieces of how that actually would land, you're better off. Because at least I'm not playing a game like I'm above board here.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
I'm showing my hand real cleanly of, hey, this is what I want. And if you would be willing to do this, I might be willing to do this. I mean, that's at least an cleaner underhandedness
Yes.
is the way to say that, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I'm not proposing it as a prescription that we should do, but I think we
Mhm.
do this in our own rationalization hamster brains. And we
Mhm.
try to figure out how can I get this done without me actually saying it and articulating it.
Yeah, so the actual act of, like, saying it as it is
That's
actually
at least that's
it's
at
just
least I'm gonna get to rejection quicker. I'm gonna let my spouse see who I really am, what really my motivation is. I'm gonna let me see who I really am and what my real
right, you're peeling
motivation
back the
is.
curtain. This is it. Uh-huh.
Right, because if
Right.
he's truly just in this thing for the sex, really? I mean, come
Right.
on.
Uh-huh.
There's so much more about
And
her.
is she just in it for the money?
Right.
Come on.
Right. There's so much more. I
Right,
mean,
right.
there's
Uh-huh.
a life that's been built together. There's an intertwining of things. So
Mm.
it's a lot more sophisticated than that. But at face value, what you're describing is pretty common in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. It just doesn't. It's maybe a little. It's lower below the threshold
Mhm.
of really wreaking much havoc in
Yeah.
couplehood, but it's there.
Mhm.
And again, it's this whole, okay, how could I satisfy this for you so I could get what I want? for me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that
Almost
motivation
like
is,
bargaining. Uh-huh.
yeah, but the problem with that is it becomes the tyranny of the lowest common denominator, right? What's the
Okay.
littlest I
What
have
does
to,
that mean? Uh-huh.
well, so even her phraseology of, okay, what's the minimum level of sex that you would want? Okay, well, then you have
Uh-huh.
to get into the deeper elements of that. Okay, what is the sex that you're actually having? Does that just mean I lay there for you and become a receptacle for your penis?
Uh-huh.
And that's it? That's all I got to do?
Mhm.
Okay, well, that brings about a different kind of an experience, an equation for both of them.
Mhm.
So what's each of their motivations in that regard? Because he's accepting bad sex when what he's saying is, I want more engaged and exciting sex.
Right.
But he's also not involved in the marriage fully, which isn't going to create an environment that will create a likelihood of good, enticing, engaging, free sex,
Right.
if you will. So that's that same kind of scenario where I'm positioning my spouse as the main problem rather than recognizing my culpability in my problem.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll dive deeper into this, I hope. But on the surface, he might be thinking, I'm kind of in a catch-22 situation. If I give more, I might not get
Mhm,
more out of it. Like
mhm.
I might not have that return. So why give more? And so they hedge.
Yeah, but that's a poorly developed approach
Yes.
as a
What would be a
person.
more better developed approach to a situation like that?
Well, it's the scenario of, okay, wait, who am I called to be here?
Mhm.
Right? Am I in this marriage or not? Do I want a relationship with my spouse or not? Do I actually want to experience more of them or not? Which means that only way I can get that kind of scenario is a leap of faith, a willingness to invest, a willingness to be hurt, a willingness to be disappointed, a willingness to maybe not get what I want.
Mhm.
But do I do it anyway? Do I still show up with the better parts of myself? Do I still engage? And I can still add, hey, I really don't want to spend X on this hobby, but I'm all for you finding the things that help fulfill you, because there's an element of a more vibrant spouse has a greater likelihood of spilling over a vibrancy onto me some,
Yes.
as well
Uh-huh.
as as long as I'm doing some of the same kind of things to invite that my way as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because if nothing else, they're going to get a real clear depiction of this is what our problem really is,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And there's no quick solutions to this, and so there is a risk always of, how do I show up in a manner I want to be in a marriage? I mean, this is where Pam and I use this phrase a bunch with ourselves, individually, is what I want to be married to me.
Yeah, it's a great yeah,
Right? Would
right.
I want to be
Uh-huh.
in partnership with me? Would I want to run a household with me? Would I want to co-parent with me? Would I want to have sex with me? Those are all great questions, because there should be a yes and a no
Uh-huh.
on those.
Yeah.
And the
Uh-huh.
no's I need to examine better, of why, if I don't like this about me, why would I want someone else to accept it and
Right.
just swallow it whole? Like, well, that's just part of it. You said for better or for worse. This is the worst, rather than, no, I need to be working on that
Mhm.
and evolving. I may not ever solve it, but man, there is such a different thing when somebody has the courage to take on themselves better, to
Mhm.
realize, yeah, I know who I am, and I realize there's parts that aren't as developed.
So probably just taking stock, taking a look
Hmm.
at the man in the mirror for a moment, just
Hmm.
saying, "Who am I? And what kind of a man am I in relation to this woman? Am
Hmm.
I and why do I hedge my investment in her? What does that say about me?"
Well, and he's also, if he has one foot in and one foot out, what's he doing about? He's hedging his investment of him too.
Yeah. He's cutting his development short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I use that was the concept of, you never want to try to straddle a fence, because when you fall, it really hurts.
It sure does. Uh-huh.
So you're in or you're out, and that's
Uh-huh.
it. And it doesn't mean I'm in blindly nor out
Mhm.
blindly. I can do this with some wisdom and discernment, knowing that I won't get everything I want. Life, that's not life. That's not the way life
Uh-uh.
works. But
Mhm.
I can still choose, and I'll handle what comes back at me.
And you can't be ever happy in a relationship long term if you're straddling?
Happiness is a bad goal anyway.
Okay. What's a better goal?
Meaning, depth, connection, honesty, realness, courage.
Uh-huh.
Those are because happiness is too fleeting. I get
Okay.
glimpses of it. I don't want that to be the ultimate goal that people, because our society has kind of sold that bill of goods. Well, I just want my
Gotcha.
kids to be happy. I just want my marriage to be happy. Well, there are moments of it, and then they're gone.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, but if I want something that's meaningful, that has a little bit longer lasting, or joy,
Mhm.
that can be there even in the midst of struggle. I can find joy because I realize, Pam and I get reminders of this every month lately with the stage of life we're in, with kids graduating and leaving the house now, and parenting
Other
parents.
change.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we're also parenting parents with a lot of illness and disease going on in both sets of parents. And so there's
Mhm.
a lot of weight and struggle and heavy, but we can look at each other in the middle of it and go, I would rather be doing this with you than anybody else
Uh-huh.
alongside me, because there's joy in that, because that's meaningful.
I like that. That is so good. Make that the standard of what you're really pursuing. And we could get so much joy. That's what our relationships do for us,
Mhm.
right? If we're really invested in our own development,
Well, and joy
living
is
well.
not as contingent
Uh-huh.
on the environment,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
right? It's how do I find meaning? How do I find value? How do I find purpose? How do I find identity? All of that is what makes up joy. Happiness comes along when I'm doing something bigger. I'll have
Mhm.
happy moments along the way.
That's good. Someone once said, like, I'm slaughtering the quote, but it's joy is not found in the circumstances, but on the focus of
Right.
our life. Yep.
Right. That's
We're
good.
saying. All right. As we conclude today, any other final thoughts or nuggets of wisdom? You're so wise.
No, I think all of this keeps coming back to one of the things I just so fully believe in, is that marriage is designed to help expose me to me,
Uh-huh. And to
eh,
grow me up.
and
I
to
think I hear you
challenge
say,
me
yeah.
to more. The psychobabble term is it's differentiate. It's to grow,
Uh-huh.
it's to evolve. Schnarch calls it a crucible, that
Yeah.
you intensify the heat and everything that comes out of it becomes more pure and refined. And I think that's what marriage does. That's what parenting does, is it makes better people. And if I can see that that's the meaning of this, man, I got a chance to go places I haven't gone yet in my life or my marriage.
That's so good. Great. Where can people go to learn more about you and your work?
So Sexy Marriage Radio is the name of the show. We are almost 14 years in now with this thing. It's
Congratulations.
pretty
That's awesome.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
SMR.fm is our online home, and that's where everything is. Where you can find me to work with me if you want. There's groups. There's a nation, which is a community. It's a private community. You can be a part of at various levels. Also, you can kind of watch in real time as my next book is being evolved and growing. So I'm kind of using the nation as a way to help as a sounding board in the coming months for that. So
That's good.
yeah,
Congratulations
so
on
it'll be
that book.
fun.
Look forward to reading that when that comes out. Thank
Thank you.
you. Whether you feel like you have problems and challenges in your marriage now, or things are good and you really want things to get to the next level, I invite you to apply to our Get Your Marriage On program. This is the program where I get to work with you and my team gets to work with you, and we do a deep dive into all things intimacy in your marriage. We meet over Zoom. We have group as well as private sessions. We also have a course and a program and a structure to follow. And all of this is calculated to help you get the most bang for your buck to really move the needle in a positive direction in your marriage. Now, you need to apply because we only take a small number of couples each month to keep our program small and focused so everyone gets the attention they need. You'll find all those details at getyourmarriageon.com/program, and I look forward to working with you. Meanwhile, thank you for listening. Please share this podcast with your married friends. I promise they'll thank you for life. And now it's your turn to go get your marriage on.